Hi. Which of these 10 mistakes in sales funnel management could hurt you the most? And what can you do about them? How can you improve your sales funnel management? The consensus view is that there are 10 common flaws in sales funnel management. 1, not segmenting the list and prospects properly. 2, not following communications with a call to action. 3, no balance between lead generation, that is finding the leads, and lead management, that is doing something with them. 4, centering the sales funnel management on the seller instead of the buyer. 5, involving the salesperson too early. 6, lack of timely follow-up with leads. 7, conversely, we hang on to dead leads for too long. 8, focusing on the technology instead of the sales process. 9, getting proper training. And 10, not measuring each stage of the sales funnel. Well, what should you do about it? What does good sales funnel management look like? I think there are 5 elements. 1, build your stages around the buyer's journey, not the sales process. 2, measure the lag and leakage at every stage of that journey. 3, segment by behaviour, not demographics. Demographics are a poor indicator, behaviour are a very strong indicator. 4, make sales funnel management a shared activity, and by that I mean between sales and marketing. And 5, run experiments to optimise where you can make the biggest improvements to your sales funnel management. Let me show you what I found when looking for articles on sales funnel management. I'm going to share the research with you, synthesise their conclusions, and then give you my own spin and a little bit more depth on those recommendations. So our first article comes from Martin from Cleverism, and it's how to effectively manage your sales funnel. Now, given what I typed into Google, this is pretty much exactly what I would be hoping to find. Unfortunately, it's a good example of 3 common flaws in funnel management. Thinking about you and your process more than you think about the buyer and theirs. Dumbing down your sales process to arbitrary stages and not understanding the common effect of high conversion at early stages to low conversion at later stages. Dated 2014, I think candidly the thoughts in this are dated about circa 2000 or maybe even 1990s. Not one I'm going to recommend. Our next article comes from Stuart Leung, and it's on the Salesforce blog. Sales funnel management, simplify by cutting steps, not corners. Now, from the get-go, I love where that's going. Cutting steps and not corners. And the essence of that point, he does actually make other points through the article, but this is one of the points that he makes in the article, and he's pulled it out into the heading. I think it's an important one. By cutting steps, what Stuart's referring to is that frequently the problem with progression is created by us. We put steps in the way that the buyer doesn't really need to take. So that's where we need to cut steps. But he's not saying cut corners. I think in principle that's a really strong argument and is well put. I would add to that, don't try and go faster than your buyer. Basically, although we often want the buyer to go faster, we can't get ahead of them. So what we really need is to find ways for the buyer to move forward more freely, perhaps more quickly, rather than to try to rush them. But I actually quite like this article and would recommend it as a worthy read. Our third blog that we found was The 4 Biggest Mistakes in Managing a Sales Funnel by Al Davidson. Look, I might have suggested mistake 2. There's only 4 mistakes, so let me go down to mistake number 2. Focusing on CRM technology instead of your sales process. Look, I might have wanted to change it if I was writing it to talk about the buyer and their journey rather than the sales process. But other than that, I generally agree with these 4 mistakes. I think they are common, and I think they are worth commenting. It's accurate. It's also a little light. Now, either this author, Al Davidson, or the author from Blog 1 are looking at the exact same prospects, or one of them copy the other because their language is eerily similar. Just saying. Okay, Blog 4. This is a cracker. So an expert guide to sales funnel management. 22 sales experts, blah, blah, blah. So what they've done is they've asked 22 opinion leaders for what they think the one biggest mistake is, and they compiled their results. I reckon that's fantastic. So good on you for that effort. And we need to cut them a little bit of slack, recognise that each of these experts has been asked independently. So if they say the same thing or they even contradict each other, we should forgive that, I think. What I've done in the wrap-up is I've synthesised what I think these 22, removed any duplicates, as well as the other blog articles have said. But for all that, I actually recommend that you read the article as well as my synthesis of the article. And the final one we're sharing, not because it was found on Google, but because it was shared a lot. 299 times on Litter. Oh, LinkedIn? Where's Litter? 299 times on LinkedIn, which is a great result. It's a very niche subject. So tips on managing sales funnel, but basically it's for selling tickets, specifically for selling tickets. So two things come as a consequence. One is that the language and the examples are really, really specific. And secondly, it's a very simple transaction. It's a lot simpler than the audience that I typically am writing for, you, and therefore might be a little bit, the process implied might be a little too light for you. Well, it seems from that there is a consensus around a number of flaws. Let me highlight the 10 biggest flaws that I read into those articles. Not segmenting properly, not following communications up with a call to action at the end of each communication piece, not balancing lead generation, finding them, and lead management, doing something with them, centering the sales funnel manager on the seller instead of the buyer, involving the salesperson too early, lack of timely follow-up, hanging on to dead leads for too long, which is kind of the inverse, right? So follow them up really quickly, but if they're not progressing, then let them go. Focusing on technology instead of sales process, not getting proper training, and not measuring each stage of your sales funnel. Well, if that's the consensus view, what should we do about those common flaws in sales funnel management? I mean, what does good sales funnel management look like? I think there are 5 elements. Build your stages around the buyer's journey, not the sales process. And then related to that, measure how long it takes you to move buyers, that's lag, and how often you fail to move buyers, that's leakage, at every stage. Now, that's not necessarily what we typically do. In fact, it's not what we do. Let's look at what most CRMs do. They've got sales process in them. So that's definitely a shift. But here's the kind of geeky thing, and I want to argue it carefully because I think it's important. Segment by behaviour and not demographics. Demographics are a poor proxy for potential behaviour. Well, why not measure actual behaviour? For example, look at the late funnel behaviour of those who went quickly through early stages versus those who went slower through the early stages. What about those who came via web versus social versus lists versus referral? They're more interesting indicators, and they'll be more telling indicators in your sales funnel. Number 4, make sales funnel management a shared activity. In the very least, sales and marketing. Why not the whole leadership team? And number 5, run experiments to optimise where you can make the biggest difference in your lag and your leakage. But here's the key. Look to decrease your leakage, not your lag. In a lot of experiments that we've run, trying to speed the process up increases leakage at an unacceptable rate. By contrast, reducing leakage does not affect lag. So work on leakage. But number 2, and this is going to contradict my earlier point, remove roadblocks to lag. That is, identify, is some of the lag caused by you? Are you putting impediments in front of the buyers and causing them to go slower? Are you asking them to make too big a decision at each of the points, each of the stages in their journey? Think about from their perspective and find ways to remove roadblocks for them. And when you know what sources are generating the best outcomes, double down on those sources. You can do a whole lot more easily by changing your sources than your tactics when you know that one source leads to a better outcome than another. So there you go. Lots for you to do, lots for you to think about. Good luck. I want to give you a couple of tools to help you. Firstly, If you got value out of today's blog and you haven't already, go to mathmarketing.com/blog or go to youtube.com/mathmarketing and subscribe to the blog so that you're the first to hear about it. But when you're managing your sales funnel, you clearly need a tool that describes what the sales funnel is supposed to look like and a tool for measuring what's actually going on. We've done a lot of work on funnel plan, and what you'll find when you look at the new funnel plan is that the building of the process, the plan, the sales funnel as it's supposed to operate is now really, really easy and easy for you to do with sales and marketing in the room together. But that's just the start. Now you want to measure it. We've added the ability to integrate sales funnel with your CRM. And what that means is that you can actually see what your sales funnel management is looking like compared to what it's supposed to look like. That's your plan. What's actually going on is your CRM, and it looks at the two together and gives you a good sense of what you need to change. Then it gives you, for free, advice on what you need to change to improve the plan versus actual. Take a look at funnelplan.com. Check it out for yourself. Lots more lined up for next week. I look forward to seeing you then. Until then, may your funnel be full and always flowing. Our thanks this week to Veal and Fiona for her research, an intern at Math Marketing, to our 5 contributors, Martin for effectively managing sales funnel, Stuart Leung for sales funnel management, Al Davidson for managing the sales funnel, Coban Phillipson for expert guide on sales management, that was the 22 collated articles, and Bob for how to manage your ticket sales funnel, very specific one. Thank you to Annika for your amazing production. My name's Hugh McFarlane, and it's been my pleasure to script and present this week's show.